Okay, retake. Here we go. I'm here today with Martin F. Chu. Martin is the founder of MFJ Enterprises, and we generally we're having some interference, aren't we, Martin? I think they can still hear me, so I'm going to go ahead. Martin, as I mentioned, is the founder of MFJ Enterprises, and Martin usually sits down with us and does a short interview every Hamfest that we go to. A lot of people out there don't know Martin's story, and then again, there's thousands of hams out there that know Martin and know MFJ. Probably nearly every ham shack in the country has some product from MFJ, whether it be an antenna analyzer, or a watt meter, or a keyer, or something. They've got so many products, thousands of products. I'm going to let Martin talk about that in just a minute. So, Martin, I know this is a repeat of what we've talked about before, but let's just go over a lot of stuff real quick, and I'm sure there'll be some questions for you. So, welcome, and tell us what you think. How's the Hamfest been going so far?
We've had a really good time today. There's has been an incredible number of attendees. When I first walked in this morning, I couldn't believe how many hams there were. But it's very good Hamfest. Had a good time walking through the flea market. Bought a bunch of old stuff. Just been a great time. I think sales have been really good, and got to see a lot of old friends.
You said you bought a lot of old stuff, like old radios and stuff?
I bought a 1948 amateur radio handbook. I bought a whole set of old tube-type audio technology, which I know I'm going to a whole set of anthologies of tube-type audio book, which I enjoy just going through. I bought a old Heathkit shortwave radio and a grid dip meter that used a tunnel diode, which was also made by Heathkit, and that was only walking through the back roads of the flea market.
Well, you know, we did a tour of all your facilities here last year or the year before, and in your office we saw all these old antique radio stuff. You have one of everything in your. In fact, I've been licensed. I got my license 50 years ago, 1964, and I looked up on your shelf, and you had my receiver. It looked like my Helicrafter's receiver up there on that shelf that I used 50 years ago. So you must like collecting that stuff.
Oh, I love the old radio stuff. You know, lots of collectors collect a specific area, which was, some of them like to collect Collins equipment, some of the very high end. Well, what I like to collect are the old beginners, novice radios, the radios that we wish that we had when we were starting off but couldn't afford, and just now able to get them and collect them. So whenever I see something that fits that category, I buy it, put it on the shelf, and just look at it.
Well, do you ever bring it out and plug it in and use it?
Well, sometimes I do. I bring it out, plug it in, plug in the telegraph key, or hook a speaker to it, make a contact, and then I put it back on the shelf and do the same thing every once in a while with another piece of equipment.
Well, I tell you, I really like the old tube stuff, and I tell you, I mean, I'm even afraid today to try to buy something or like it. I mean, tubes are just about extinct.
Well, you're right. They just about are. There are still a few tube manufacturers overseas, but the prices have gotten so high. Real radios were back in the days when they glow and they gave off this smell. I mean, you know, I just like
to smell radios. That dust when that dust heats up, you know, and they're. Well, hey, let's talk again now about all the different companies, MFJ. You know, people may just know the name MFJ, but you've got a bunch of companies under MFJ.
Well, we do. We have, of course, MFJ, but we have a high-power RF amplifier company, Ameritron, that makes amplifiers, both tube-type and solid-state. And we have a high-gain antenna company. And we have Cushcraft amateur radio antennas. both of those companies are very old-time companies. Started back in the 1950s, and we've continued their product line and have expanded it and modernized it. And we also have a Mirage, which is a VHF high-power amplifiers, and also Vectronics makes a premium line of accessory products. We've got over 2,000 products that we make, almost all of it in Starkville, Mississippi.
That's so cool, and I've toured your manufacturing different shops, and we watched them build all these things and test them, and it's all basically hand built. Now you do have you got some automation stuff in there. You do do some wave soldering and some things like that.
Well, we do. We have surface mount technology that will pretty much build a complete PC board. There's, it reduces the labor cost, gives you a more high quality product. The only problem is when you start building them, they're either all right or they're all wrong. But anyway, it's supposed to be funny.
Wow. I was thinking the next question, but okay. They're either right or wrong, huh?
Yeah. But we also have things like computer controlled punch presses for making the cabinets and
well, that's right.
Wave soldering.
You bend your own metal. You punch. You make your own cabinets. You silk screen them.
Yeah. We make we do as much in-house as we can. These air wound coils. We make the air wound coils. We built the machinery to so where we can insert strips of plastic, and the air wound coils will heat the wire up with an electric current, and then the coils are wound on the mandrel, and it winds and melts itself into those plastic pieces. We make our roller inductors. We make the high power, high voltage capacitors. We stamp out all the plates. We deburr and smooth the edges out so there's no arcing. We make a lot of the machine parts that goes into making the roller inductors and the capacitors and the various metal pieces that goes into the amplifiers. We do as much of the manufacturing as we can. Now, what we found out is that that we can make products in Starkville, Mississippi, cheaper than we can buy these products from China. From other parts of the world. Now, we can't make them as cheap as they can make them, but once you add on their profit and their all the import fees and the transportation costs, then we can actually make them in Starkville cheaper than we can buy them.
Now, MFJ is, about 42 years old, isn't it? 40-something?
Yeah, we started in 1972. So it makes us 42 years old.
Yeah. Now, you started this thing on a shoestring, man. I remember the story. You started in a hotel room. That was MFJ, right?
That's right.
What did you pay rent? How much rent you paid back then?
Well, this was in downtown old hotel that couldn't rent the room out to anyone, so I rented the room to make stuff. It was 50 cents a day, $16 a month.
Yeah. $16 a month for your for MFJ's initial headquarters, I guess, right?
Yeah. Well, we did everything there. I used to etch PC boards. These bows, Pyrex bows you used to cook in. We had a bow on top of a hot plate with ferric chloride in it, and that's how we were etching the boards. And had a hand drill mounted on a stand, and I used to drill the boards by hand.
So here you are. You got this good rate, 50 cents a day for your facilities. And didn't you upset the landlord? Didn't he throw you out or something?
Well, after a few months, the guy who was renting the room, I think he was one of the managers, and this was a room he couldn't rent to anyone else, so he rented to us, and I think the money didn't go exactly where it was supposed to go, but anyway, we were making too much racket, and we were stinking the place up, so he ran us off.
I guess etching those circuit boards probably put out an odor, right?
Oh, it did. It did.
All right. Well, look how much you've grown. You're in a number of facilities all across Starkville.
Yeah, we're pretty much spread out across Starkville. We've got plenty of property where we could add more building. We just bought a building next to a Maritron, so we could expand out into there.
Okay. Hey, Kathy, could you see if there's any questions coming in to Martin? I don't think that's not working, is it? Okay. Oh, okay. Well, you can hand it to me, and I'll hold it up here then. Let me see. You got it working. Okay, very good. Martin, let's just jump into some questions real quick from viewers. Let me make the font bigger on this so I can see it better. Font size, we'll go 30. Okay, let's just look here, and for everybody on the show, you can see we got a little tablet here, and we can see your questions directly here. So, they're talking about Martin's done a lot for ham radio. Let's see. Here's some people need to buy some gear. Let's see what all we got going here, Martin.
Well, here's what, any chance of them having a line of rotary switches for older
okay.
tuners?
All right, here we go. Any chance of you having a line of rotary switches for older tuners?
I think we do have some switches that are available for some of those older tuners. In fact, I know we have I think we do have. They're ceramic switches, very heavy duty switches.
Ceramic. Now, what do they just need to call your number? And
just call our Watts line number or just our telephone number. But the Watts line number is 800-647-1800. I'm not sure if people still know what watts mean, but it's a free telephone call.
Yeah.
But nowadays telephone calls are free anyhow. So just call our number. Our regular number is 662 323 5869. 662 323 5869. Just call us and we can check to see what parts we have. But a lot of those parts are in our catalog. You can ask for a free catalog. This is a 140-page full-color catalog full of ham radio products.
Is that it right
in
here?
fact, here's a copy of it here. And a lot of those parts are in this catalog. So feel free to ask for one over on our website or just by calling us.
All right. Well, they're asking, what is the next big thing coming from MFJ? Do you have any new things coming out that you can talk about, or are they all secret right now?
Well, we do have a lot of products coming out. I think the biggest thing that we have is an Ameritron solid-state amplifier that puts out a full 1,200 watts from 160 meters all the way through 6 meters. Most of the other solid-state amps on 6 meters is much, much lower power, but this is full power all the way through 6 meter, and it has a computer interface, and it can be interfaced to your transceiver, so when you change bands, it'll change band on the power amplifier. It's got the 10 meters built into it, whereas in the past FCC didn't allow it, but it's been designed so it detects someone who's trying to use it on CB band and locks it out. It has several other features that are unique to that amplifier, and it's in production, and it's available now.
Well, Martin, you know me, 50-year ham, I like tubes. I'm always worried about the solid-state stuff. I mean, I guess things are getting better protected and so forth, but is a solid state amp now the way to go? I mean, I'm afraid, lightning or something or burn out the transistors. Are they pretty tough now?
They're pretty tough now. They are fully protected, and we're coming into the solid state age. What we're finding is that the two-type amplifiers are not selling like they used to because of the new group of hams that have come into our hobby that prefer the convenience of solid state. Even though the AL811 series of amplifiers still gives you the most power for your money, the new group of hams like the convenience of no-tune solid state.
K7 RFP wants to know, what was your first mass-produced item?
Well, when we first started, we made a CW kit, CW filter kit. It was an audio filter kit, and we sold about 5,000 of those.
Now, did you sell that as a kit, or?
We sold that as a kit, but it didn't take us long to find out that what the hams wanted was something that was put together, so we started selling those in wired form, and then we put them into little boxes, so all they had to do was put a battery in it and just plug it all in, and that was when it really took off.
Now, that was the early days. That was your first product. Now, didn't you hired a lot of interns or young people in college? Did you have them build those CW filters?
Well, we built some of them ourselves, but we also I was teaching courses in the electrical engineering department at Mississippi State, and I used to take these bags of parts with me to class, and I would just hold them up in class and ask if any of the students wanted to put these things together for 25 cents a piece, and that was MFJ first production line.
All right, so you paid a full 25 cents to an intern to put together your first products. That's pretty good. Yeah. Now, that's pretty good. What do I call it? Business skills. To be able to talk someone into doing it for you like that. Here's one here, K5ARN. I have a problem to choose what antenna tuner to buy. Could you elaborate on them? I guess you got different antenna tuners.
Well, we do have different antenna tuners, and they're fit different purposes. We have two lines of them. One is a manual line of antenna tuner, and one's a line of automatic tuners. The most general, most popular manual tuner is the MFJ 949E. I think it's an E, maybe a D, but it's an MFJ 949. That's not just an antenna tuner, it's also an antenna switch. It can help troubleshoot your station. It has a dummy load built into it. It also has a watt meter, SWR meter. It can read forward power and reflected power, so it's a complete station accessory, and that is by far our most popular antenna tuner, and gives you the flexibility of a manual tuner. Now, if you want something that's fully automatic, our most popular one is the MFJ 993, and it also has I think it's a two-position antenna switch and a SWR meter and a watt meter. And if you want a slightly lower price one, it's the MFJ 926. That's an automatic tuner. I think of 926 or 929. But the 949, MFJ 949 has been a very classic, very popular tuner.
All right. Hey, WB4CTX says, Martin, we all know Heathkit is not around anymore. Is there any chance MFJ will start producing kits like amplifiers and so forth?
Okay. Well, we do have some kits. We have a QRP radio, which has a surface mount PC boards, and we place all the surface mount parts on it. But you do have to do the rest of it, wind the toroids, install the pots and the connectors and do some soldering. Now we do have an antenna tuner kit where it's a lot of point-to-point, very much like a Heath kit. You know, these days manufacturing electronic is different from back in the old days of Heath kit, when you had to do a lot of point-to-point wiring and the builder could actually save money. But now it's cheaper for us to manufacture an electronic product than to kit a kit for someone to build, because of it's very labor intensive to get all the parts together and put it into a kit. Now these are electronic products, whereas now we can turn on a surface mount machine and the machine will place all the parts and solder everything, so you can't really save a lot of money on electronic type products. But something like an antenna tuner or a amplifier kit where there's lots of point-to-point wiring, you can save a pretty good bit of money on those type of kits. And we've started off with an antenna tuner, which is the kit version of MFJ 941 antenna tuner. So the question about the antenna tuner, you could get started with the 941 tuner kit if you wanted to build a kit.
All right, here's a question for Rich. I'm losing my high-frequency hearing. Which one of your audio interfaces would you recommend?
We have a product that I actually developed for my own self because I have trouble with my hearing, and I'm sitting in this position with Tom because my ear on the left is really, well, here's how I like to put it. In my left ear, I'm kind of deaf, and I can't hear out of my right ear. But anyway, I developed this product that would help me emphasize speech so I could understand speech much better. And I'm trying to remember the model number of it. It's not only my hearing that's starting to deteriorate, but anyway, it's the MFJ 616. And we also have a new dual channel version, which is the MFJ 618, where you can adjust the intelligibility for each ear, because each ear is different from the other one.
How about a mod to light the meters in the MFJ 259B analyzer? They want lights behind there.
Okay. I think that's a very good idea, and that's something we really do need to look into.
Something that, you know, a lot of things that you guys build and you do, you get suggestions from people, don't you?
Mm-hmm. No, that's a very good idea. We need to go ahead and
put some lights in that meter.
Yeah.
You know, I got one of those, and I think that lights would be good. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, here's Lee, WS4BS. He says he has an MFJ 1026. It does not look like any of the current or older models. The circuit board does not match available specs. Was this possibly a prototype?
Well, I don't. There may have been some changes in the unit, but it's pretty basically the same as it has been.
All right, here's one of the MFJ 269 goes down to 530 kilocycles. Will one be going down to 185 KC at the experimental band? Okay.
Well, you know, I'm not sure if we will go down that low, but let me say one thing about the new 269C and the new 259C on the lower bands. It's designed so if you want it to, you can take that whole lowest frequency band and shift that whole range down by tuning a tuning slug in it and move the frequency way on down. I don't remember exactly what the lower limit is.
They can probably contact your MFJ and get that information.
Yeah.
What's the future of the 229 Viene antenna analyzer? What is that? I'm not familiar with that.
The 229
Viene.
You may be talking about the 225. I'm I'm not sure what you mean by the future, but no, we continue to. We plan to continue that product. The 225, it may be the one that you're talking about, but no, we plan to continue that product.
I know that MFJ sells Alpha SPID satellite rotors, but is MFJ going to build their own?
Well, we have looked at it, and at some point we'll do something like that.
Is your new amp the ALS 1400?
It's the ALS 1306.
Okay. Well, everybody always asks for something cheaper. They're wanting a transceiver here for less money.
Okay. Well, we always.
You always trying to. I guess. Well, here's a comment here, Martin. KO4L says that one man right there, Martin FG, has probably helped more hams get on the air than almost any other man alive today, and that's true, I think, man. And
well,
we thank you for everything you've done.
Well, that's very kind of you to say that.
How about a diversity receiver?
Well, we haven't looked at a diversity receiver.
Okay. This guy said he always thought the M in MFJ stood for Mississippi.
Well, it actually kind of does. I was born in Mississippi. I've always lived in Mississippi, and my name probably should have been Mississippi.
Well, hey, we'll just get off this question a minute. I mean, you were born and you grew up in a little bitty town down on the Delta in Mississippi, and your family had a store, right? What kind of store was that?
Yeah, no,
it sold everything.
Well, yeah. No, I was born in Vicksburg, Mississippi, and I grew up about 70 miles of Vicksburg in a little Mississippi Delta town called Hollandale. And we had a little old country grocery store that sold everything. We sold things like kerosene, we sold grocery, we sold meat, we sold chicken feed, I mean anything that anybody needed out in the country, we sold. My great-grandfather helped build the Transcontinental Railroad. He came from China. He went back to China. But my grandfather and father both had grocery stores in Mississippi.
Well, I guess you working and growing up in a store gave you your business knowledge of how to run a business.
Oh, absolutely. Growing up in the grocery store during that time, most people, lots of people had businesses of their own, and when I was growing up, I thought everybody had a business, so I knew at some point I was going to go into business, and when I was a Cub Scout, I built a crystal radio. Never could get it to work, but I built it, and that got me interested in radio, so I combined both of those and built a business out of ham radio.
But you never made that radio work, right?
Never could get my crystal radio to work. It was.
I grew up about the same time. Back then we had little germanium diodes we used, but there was also this model. And I think the one you built was a razor blade.
Oh yeah. If you had a germanium diode, you were really high tech.
Yeah. Well, hey, that I didn't ever see how that thing worked anyway. You took a pencil lead and you took a piece of. It was one of these blue edge razor blades. Razor blades.
Yeah. You had to move that pencil lead around till you found a sensitive spot.
And you tied that pencil lead on I think a safety pin.
Yeah.
We're going to tell everybody how to build this.
Yeah.
Take a safety pin, tie a pencil lead to it.
Yeah.
Touch it to a razor blade, wind your coil, and move that pencil lead around till you get to the station you want.
That's exactly right. Yeah, I never could get it to work, but I sure had fun doing it.
Well, I skipped all that. I just used the germanium diode. MFJ used to have a dual radio desk mic. What's that? You have another one, another plan.
I'm not
Dual
sure.
radio,
I think that's where you switch between two different radios.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we need to look at that again.
When will MFJ come out with a 220 radio?
Well, you know, we've talked about that a lot. We just hadn't gotten around to doing anything.
Okay. Well, you know, 220 is popular here, I guess, in the States, but it's not in other places, I don't think.
Yeah. Well, you know, we've added that band to our SWR analyzer, so we have been thinking about that.
Yeah. Yeah, and in TLN was talking about using oatmeal round box. That was the other piece.
That was the
other piece of the crystal radio.
That's
using
right.
Oatmeal,
yeah.
You had to get you an oatmeal round box and wind your coil on that.
Yeah.
Oh, let's see. Please turn Tom up or Martin down. I don't know. We're having trouble with our audio here, I guess, but I think we're getting through okay. We skipped over. Well, Martin, I want to thank you very much, man. You've always supported our webcast here. We got a lot of prizes from you to give out, your speakers, your voltage monitors, a couple of your dual band antennas, and we really appreciate what you do for our webcast.
Well, we appreciate you too, Tom, and we want to help you in any way we can to help you continue doing this wonderful service for our hobby here.
Well, we appreciate you being here. I know that you're a very busy person. Thanks for taking time. And there was a lot of people comments on here. A lot of people learned your story that didn't know about you, and I think it was a very interesting discussion we had. And we'll just keep doing this.
Okay.
You know, maybe at the next Town Fest we'll do it again.
Okay, that sounds great. I
All right, well,
appreciate it.
Thank you, Martin.
Okay. I think it's just about time for the night.
All right.
Yeah.
Martin, thank you again.
I always enjoyed visiting with John.